Saka, you can take a hike. Palmer, go ahead and stay at the hospital. Salah, go ahead and enjoy your retirement. Phil Foden, you can find a new profession if you want to. Because Antoine Semenyo is here and I don't think anyone's going to be safe from him this season. Most of the time in the football world, we see one player force themselves into important conversations by dropping great performances every single week. Usually it's somebody that's coming through one of the top 6 clubs. Think of some of the players that I mentioned earlier like Phil Foden, Cole Palmer, and Saka. They spent most of their important developmental years at a single club, and those clubs were some of the most elite in the world. In most cases, these guys are given so much time to really sharpen their skills before they're asked to contribute too much to the main team. Of course, their natural talent gets them to the point where they are, but you can't deny the fact that the environment that they're allowed to develop in doesn't make a difference. But every now and then, we get a player from a different club that isn't that traditional top 6, and this year we have clearly found that that player is going to be Antoine Semenyo. The thing with Semenyo as well is that he hasn't had it easy throughout his career. The guy has had to get it out the mud and has risen above the odds to become one of the best players in the Premier League if we're being honest. Pretty much, this guy is no industry plant. We need to give Semenyo his flowers for how he's currently tearing through the Premier League, but in order to properly do so, let's take a look at how he's got there as well. And real quick boys, if you're not subbed to the channel, enjoying the video, enjoying the content, make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe. We do drop weekly football videos as well, so make sure you hit that notification bell so you don't miss an upload. And if you're not new to the channel boys, then welcome back. But with that being said boys, let's get into Semenyo's career and how he got to the point where he's at now. At an early age, Antoine Semenyo was pretty set on having football be his career path. Early on around 2015, he would go on trial to multiple clubs in England, including Arsenal, Crystal Palace, Spurs, and Millwall, with all clubs passing up on the then 15-year-old. Despite being close to giving up on the dream, he would end up joining a youth academy program at South Gloucestershire and Stroud College, where he'd end up finding a reliable space to develop into a better player. Eventually, after garnering interest from clubs, he would sign for Bristol City's academy in 2017, and then officially for the main side on a professional contract in January of 2018. He would only make one short appearance for Bristol City for the rest of the season in the championship, as he would go out on loan to semi-pro side Bath City, where he would score 3 goals. But regardless, now he was at a place in his career where he was able to develop in a professional setting. Semenyo from early on was touted for his ability to be an all-action player. Going forward, he wasn't afraid to take on his man, he would always be willing to make the extra pass, and he was always someone who had a good eye for goal. And additionally, Semenyo was someone who was always willing to do that dirty work, as he would successfully track back and help the defense more often than not. So even though he was still developing from a technical player, his work ethic had always been there. I'm not gonna lie to you and say that Semenyo was the second coming of Cristiano Ronaldo at an early age or anything like that. He was still clearly raw, but the talent was there. It just had to be brought out of him in one way or another. So in his next professional season, Semenyo would join League 2 side Newport County on a season-long loan for the 18-19 campaign. Semenyo would have an okay loan spell in Newport where he would get 6 goals and 2 assists across 32 games in all competitions, mostly coming off the bench. Notably though, he would get a full 90 minutes when Newport eliminated Premier League Leicester in the FA Cup that year. But just a few weeks after this result in January of 2019, Bristol would recall Semenyo from his loan spell, but that wouldn't really be for his benefit. He spent the rest of the campaign for Bristol either riding the bench or not being in the squad at all, which prevented him from registering a single goal or assist for the rest of the season. And the following 19-20 season wouldn't be any better for Semenyo if we're being honest. But that's all a part of the journey. He'd be part of Bristol's squad, but again was either riding the bench or would be given very minimal minutes, with the former being the most common. In the January window, he'd move to Sunderland on loan in hopes of building some momentum, but really it wouldn't fix anything. He'd barely feature, and with the pandemic interrupting the rest of the season, it would just become one to forget for the Ghanaian, as in 18 appearances across both sides, he was only able to register a single assist, and that was in August of 2019. But this guy who had been rejected so many times before and always managed to bounce back was not gonna give up here. He was not gonna let one bad season stop him. Following the integration of Dean Holden as interim manager at Bristol City, all of a sudden Semenyo found himself with a more important role for the 2021 season. For the first handful of matches in that season, Semenyo would be coming off the bench, but after he would get assists in 3 straight game weeks that helped decide those matches, he would earn himself a starting position. And despite the overall struggles of the club, Semenyo started to kind of come into his own that year. He'd proved to be more efficient that campaign, as he would put up 5 goals and 6 assists in all competitions. And even though those numbers aren't insane, you could see how compared to other championship attackers, he was ranking highly in key passing and attacking metrics that helped get his team into games. The following 21-22 season, he would build on that solid campaign, now under manager Nigel Pearson. This year, Semenyo would really start to garner attention, as he would begin to be recognized as one of the most talented under 21 players in England. Despite struggling to get into the squad for the first third of the season, Semenyo would tear up the league from match day 22 onward, as in the span of just 12 matches, he would score 6 goals and register 7 assists, and ended the campaign overall with 8 goals and 12 assists in 32 matches. From a numerical standpoint, and even just watching him play, play, you could see how much he was improving week in and week out. It just felt like it was a matter of time until a team in the Premier League or just a team outside of the championship would take a chance on this guy, and the following season this would come into fruition. Semenyo would begin the 22-23 season still a part of Bristol City's squad, where they would hope that he could translate the previous season's form to help the club start off good. And in his half a season at the club, he would have a pretty decent go around in his final moments in the championship. In 27 games that he played for Bristol that season, he'd register 8 goals and 2 assists, so by the time that the January transfer window rolled around, Semenyo was wanted by a few Premier League clubs. His final 5 games for Bristol saw him put up 4 goals and an assist, enticing those Premier League clubs to get the deal done. And so on January 28th, 2023, Bournemouth would sign 23-year-old Semenyo for €10.5 million. For Bournemouth, they had been monitoring the Ghanaian for a bit, and they were hoping he would be able to come in and instantly make an impact. They desperately needed all the help they could get, as at that point they were sitting in the relegation zone under manager Gary O'Neill. For Semenyo, he would finally have the opportunity to show that he was cut out for playing in one of the best leagues in the world. After having been rejected by so many clubs as a kid and grinding his way from university level to the Premier League, now his destiny was somewhat in his hands. And I say somewhat because unluckily for Semenyo, the Bournemouth side that he was joining wasn't some world-beating side, not even close. They were pretty ass if we're being honest. The club would go on to survive relegation that year thanks to a short winning stretch near the end of the season, but generally in most games they looked completely lost and outmatched. The club would struggle to do anything of note, and as a result Semenyo and the other attackers would struggle. The Ghanaian would finish the half a season he was there with just 1 goal in 11 matches. Alas, Bournemouth would go through one major change that very much impacted Semenyo's life. Michael B. Jordan had had enough and made the boss call to sack O'Neill in the summer of 2023 and brought in Andoni Iraola. Iraola was seen as an up-and-coming progressive manager thanks to his time with Rayo Vallecano in Spain. There, he would help the club achieve promotion in the 2021 season and kept them afloat various seasons after. Him coming in meant that Semenyo theoretically was going to have an expanded attacking role, and that 23-24 campaign would prove to be a much more successful one both for Bournemouth and Semenyo. Bournemouth would finish in 12th place, which was their highest Prem finish in 6 years. Semenyo from an individual level would become a mainstay in the side and would manage to put up 8 goals and 3 assists in 36 matches across all competitions, which for a side that was still getting its feet together wasn't too bad. Additionally, from watching him play and seeing how Iraola's system changed things for the club, you can notice how much more of a threat he became from a goal scoring perspective. So with all these factors at play, the last season we're coming off of and what he's done so far this season is where he has really started to boom. So last season, the 24-25 campaign, both Bournemouth and Semenyo would go on to have their best seasons to date. Come the end of the season, Bournemouth would end up finishing in 9th place, which might not seem like a crazy feat, but that matched their highest ever finish in the Premier League. Just 2 seasons ago, they were nearly facing relegation, and now they were clearly making strides under Iraola. Semenyo would finish the season with 13 goals and 6 assists in all competitions, which for him was now a personal best. He was showing up for Bournemouth when they needed someone to rescue something. A key goal in a 3-2 win over Everton, a goal in a 2-1 win over Man City, a goal in a 3-0 win over United, an assist in a 1-1 draw against Newcastle, a goal and assist in a 2-2 game against Chelsea, a winner against Fulham, a vital goal in a 1-1 draw with United, an assist in a 2-1 win over Arsenal, and 2 goals in a 2-0 win over Leicester. You can see how much and how key this guy was proving to be for this specific squad and anything that they were getting done. From a player who was barely getting minutes at Bristol City, Semenyo became the spearhead of an attack from a Premier League side that was pushing itself to higher limits. This would be backed up by his key metrics from an attacking standpoint as well. And all of this really takes us to today, where we are standing at right now. Bournemouth have started the season on fire, and yup, you guessed it, Semenyo has been a major part of the reason why. In just 7 matches for the club, with one of those being just 45 minutes in a throwaway EFL Cup game, Semenyo already has 4 goals and 2 assists while the club sits in 6th place. This puts Semenyo as tied for 2nd best goal scorer in the league behind Haaland, who just so happens to be the best striker in the world. He's had 2 fantastic goals against Liverpool, an assist in a 1-0 win over Wolves, and a goal and assist in a 2-1 win over Brighton. We're barely getting into the season and we can already see what type of timing this guy is on. Yes, a lot of people are going to say that Semenyo plays for Bournemouth, so of course it's going to look like he's doing spectacular because this is a team that no one expects to do well, but just watch the guy play and you'll see the quality that he possesses. I don't think it would shock anybody if in a year's time Semenyo makes that move to a bigger team. So I'm here, I'm on the Semenyo train. Buy your stocks now because this guy's going to the moon.